Hi, and welcome to Sprout Studio V3, the tour. My name is Bryan Caparici, and I'm the CEO and founder here at Sprout Studio. And I'm also your tour guide for this V2 to V3 tour. And what we're doing in this tour is we're basically showing you Sprout Studio V2 and the different things that we changed in V3 and kind of putting them side by side so that you can just get familiar with what has moved, what's changed, where things are, so you can kind of just familiarize yourself, get acquainted, and then move on and keep using Sprout Studio V3 to run and grow your photography business. And in this video, we're talking about the back end of orders. So how you go and actually build and construct an order and invoices for your clients. A lot has changed, yet not a lot has changed. Similar to the galleries video, you're going to see that the structure of things have changed. We've moved things from these modular sections. That was a system-wide change that we made away from modular sections and more towards a streamlined approach, similar to Booking Proposal Builder. And so you're going to see that all of the stuff is still there. It's just moved around. So let's get into it, shall we? So I have an order pulled up here on Sprout Studio V2 that I'm about to build with you together, and I have the same order pulled up over here on Sprout Studio V3. So you can see how things are a lot more streamlined and cleaner in V3. Let's kind of go step by step here. So the first thing that you do is you choose your price list for the contents of this order. And similar over here in V3, you're going to go ahead, and this is now where you can see those saved, the grouped templates. I'm going to go ahead and choose my price list over here. Now, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to start adding items. So you can just add whatever you'd like to add to this order. We're going to add that. We're going to go ahead and add a print item. And we're going to also maybe add a custom item name. And we're going to give it a price. So that's V2. Let's go through the same thing over here. Going to go ahead and add a product. Going to add a print item. Now, this is something just to point out because of the number of permutations that you can build, and we talked about that in the price list video. This had to be completely rebuilt to let you dig in and dive in and add the specific options of what you want to be adding into this particular item. So if I click add now, you can see I just added the 10 by 10 inch frame with this frame type, with this paper type, with that matte thickness, so on and so forth. And then let's go ahead and add a custom item. And there we are. So that is, again, very similar to how that works over here. For each line item, you can specify taxable, yes or no, and that'll pull over here as well, plus yes or no. And then you click that and say no tax or tax, and you can specify all of that. Now, this is where we have things that just stray a tiny little bit. If we go over here onto here, the V2, we have the subtotal, you have shipping, tax, and then total. Now, of course, for shipping, it will pull whatever you choose down here under shipping method, and it'll add that price in here. So if I go over here and say, hey, this is going to be this shipping, then it will now add that shipping in here. I can also click edit to override that and maybe give a discount, or I can click back to automatically set and it'll pull from that. So if I go over here into V3, this is now where you can say, okay, shipping by default is $0. I can click shipping method and say shipping here, and it adds in that shipping right there. I can now also click edit to override that and go into something custom like that, or I can go back to the default there. Now, when I've overridden it, let's say that I've set this to be $15, we now have the ability for you to say, hey, do I want to tax this shipping? Yes or no. You didn't have that functionality in V2. We built that for you in V3. So now you can say, when you specify shipping, is it taxed or not? Otherwise, if you have it following this shipping method, you set the tax on that specific shipping method here. So it's either added to the tax or not added to the tax. So I'm going to click X out of there. Otherwise, as we move down here, payment schedule, this is where you say single payment or payment schedule, and you can choose what payment schedule is chosen here. If I go into V3, you can say due now, which is going to be due immediately upon, once you press done, it'll be due all that date. You can say due in X number of days, and by default, this pulls in whatever your preferences are set up to the default payment due date. And then next, obviously, you can click payment schedule and then add whatever payment schedule that you want to have in here. So we're going to click just due in 11 days. Now, of course, you can add a payment proactively here as you're building the order if you'd like to, similar to how you can over here, and click add payment there. So that's all there. Now, if we go back over here into V2, we have internal notes and then client notes for front-facing stuff. We've moved those, so you have an invoice footer. That is the old client-facing notes. So that's just like a little note. This is a note that you can show to your clients. We'll show that in just a minute on the front end. And then the back-end note system, we actually expanded that, and similar to what we did for galleries, similar to what we did for booking pages, similar to what we did for leads and shoots, we built this functionality to have a note log. So you can say, client called and asked about this. So you can kind of just like continually add notes as you go. Client wants to send e-transfer. So on and so forth, and whoever's logged in making those notes, you can now see this little log of who's made notes and where, which is much better than just this internal notes blank text field that we have here. So that's kind of where we built that. And moving down here, we have order creation date, tax, currency, attached, collection methods, kind of all just dumped into this panel here. If we go over here, it's now much more cleanly organized. So you have your main metadata here, which is you got created at here, currency, your brand, your user list. If you click client details, this is where you can specify the billing contact, the shipping contact, and what it's attached to. And if you click settings, this is where you can specify if it's a quote or an order, what payment methods are available for this, whether it's going to be showing on the account statement or not, and then what the tax is. So you can kind of see all of that is combined from this billing contact here, all of the details in here, and then this shipping address down over here. And that's kind of where things have moved. If I now go done editing here, we'll go ahead and view this. So this is now what it looks like once it's created. If I click create here, we'll see what it looks like now when it's created in V2. And actually, there we go. So you can see here the view now of it being created is a lot more streamlined in V3. You've got, hey, here's the invoices, here's the payments. You can always click here to add a payment. You can also click up here. This is like the main action to add a payment here. It opens the same thing. Of course, you can trash it. You can see all of your information right here. And all of the details in here are locked when it's been created because it will affect the invoice and they will affect the total in some cases, especially if you do taxes and things like that. So we don't allow you to edit that unless you click edit order to go in to edit the thing and then go into done editing. Now, one of the things that you might notice here is this little fulfillment column. Now, that is for fulfilling prints, both whether it's a self-fulfilled print or whether it is a lab-fulfilled print. So you can open that up, upload an image, do your cropping, approve it, and use that full functionality to approve, to review, and to move all your prints through fulfillment with yourself in your studio. And now if we open this invoice up, let's just take a really quick look here in V3 of where things are. So here is the note. This is a note that you can show your clients. That's that footer that we talked about. Everything else for the most part is the same as what it was previously in Sprout V2 in terms of the layout of this invoice and what shows and where it shows. And so that is the new order builder in the back end of Sprout Studio V3.